From Illinois Public Media News, this is 217 Today. I'm Kimberly Schofield. It's Friday, August 30th. Coming up, school districts across the country have received millions of dollars of federal COVID relief over the past few years, but now that funding expires next month. That story in just a few minutes, but first, these headlines. In football, the Fighting Illini stopped the Panthers in their tracks. The U of I blasted past Eastern Illinois with a score of 45-0 last night at Memorial Stadium. Quarterback Luke Altmaier had a career-high 4 touchdowns. Caden Fagan led Illinois' rushing attack with his first career 100-yard game. Illini head coach Brett Bielema says practice paid off.
Every time you assemble a team, you just never know really until the bullets are flying how they're going to react. And the fun thing for me as a head coach, I thought I saw today a lot of things that I had seen at practice from our staff, from our coaches, the interaction that they have.
The Fighting Illini will play the Kansas Jayhawks next Saturday, September 7th at Memorial Stadium. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has eliminated the state's 1% tax on food items to help people save at the grocery store. Critics say eliminating the tax will hurt local governments. Elizabeth Powers is an economics professor at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. She tells the 21st show the Illinois Municipal League found Champaign would lose the most revenue locally.
Champaign is most affected at $2.7 million. Normal is at $2.6 million. Decatur's at $2 million. Urbana's at $1 million. These are not huge amounts of revenues, but they're substantial.
The state grocery tax will end in 2026. Many local governments like Champaign are considering creating their own instead. If Republicans want to win elections in the suburbs of Chicago, one party official says they are going to have to vote more moderately than their downstate colleagues. IPM's Jim Meadows has more.
Newly appointed Illinois GOP co-chair Aaron Del Mar says Republicans need to adjust to the local political climate for the party to thrive. During a recent visit to Champaign-Urbana, he gave the example of Rosemont Mayor and legislator Brad Stevens, who holds an Illinois House seat in a usually Democratic district.
He votes very much down the line, 50% Republican, 50% Democrat, and he catches a lot of heck from some of his other Republican colleagues. But he has to vote that way to continue to hold that seat.
Del Mar is one of 3 new co-chairs appointed by new state party chair Kathy Salvi. He says his job includes talking with the media, fundraising, and listening to the concerns of local Republicans across the state. I'm Jim Meadows, IPM News.
Thursday was the grand opening of the new Hard Rock Casino in Rockford. WNIJ's Peter Medlin reports.
The new Hard Rock includes over 1,000 slot machines and table games and a live venue that seats 2,000 people, not to mention restaurants and a sports book. Governor J.B. Pritzker even smashed a guitar to help christen the new casino. He also highlighted the Hard Rock's economic impact on Rockford.
Already 900 new jobs were created here at Hard Rock, and I know there are hundreds more that could come when you build the hotel here, right?
Pritzker was joined by rock legend and Rockford native Rick Nielsen. The Cheap Trick guitarist helped Rockford land the casino license back in 2019, just after Illinois passed a gambling expansion law. Nielsen had a simple message as the casino threw open its doors.
Let's Hard Rock.
I'm Peter Medlin.
Still to come, school districts across the country have received millions of dollars of federal COVID relief over the past few years, but now that funding expires next month. That story is coming up next on 217 Today.
Next time on the 21st show, Illinois politics has a deep culture of corruption. We'll talk with one of the reporters behind a new Chicago Tribune series that tries to answer why. Plus, you can now stay at a house in Urbana, first made famous a quarter-century ago when the band American Football put it on an album cover. I'm Brian Mackey. That's next time on the 21st show. Join us.
You're listening to 217 Today. I'm Kimberly Schofield. School districts across the country have received millions of dollars of federal COVID relief over the past few years. That funding expires next month. Peter Medlin reports.
Brian DiBernardi walks along the outside of Northwest Elementary School in LaSalle. He's the superintendent.
Yeah, so you can see where this kind of juts out. None of this was here.
He points to a 15,000 square foot addition to the school. It's brand new. Kids just stepped in the doors last week. Northwest is a small school where a majority of kids are low income, and DiBernardi says they just didn't have enough space for their students.
We never had an art room. We never had a music room. We were down to using storage closets and mechanical rooms to do a lot of things.
They also renovated another wing of the school, and none of it would be possible without ESSER. That would be Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief. It's pandemic relief money from the federal government, and school districts have had the past several years to spend that money, and it expires in about a month. We're talking about millions of dollars, even in a smaller district like LaSalle. DiBernardi says it made up a healthy portion of their budget, and now that it's gone, are Illinois schools headed towards a financial cliff? Well, Angie Smith says it depends on how schools spent the money. She helps lead school business operations at the Aurora West School District and wrote her dissertation about the impact of ESSER. And her district, like LaSalle, spent a lot of money on capital projects like new roofs and HVAC systems, and they spent less money on things like hiring new teachers. And that is for a simple reason.
This is not permanent money.
So they focused on one-time expenses instead of ongoing costs that'll stick around even when the federal funding ends. But that's not just limited to construction. Many districts like Aurora West upgraded technology, gave teachers bonuses, and started summer school programs to get their students back on track after the initial disruption of the pandemic.
We had restorative practice coaches that, worked with students, things that either weren't going to be long-term, or in some cases, we piloted them and liked them, but then had to figure out what comes out of the budget to make room for that.
Ann Williams at the U46 district in Elgin says they also have to consider if these new programs, projects, and positions are helping students. Are they getting a solid return on their investment? And she says that's not always simple. It's easier to think about with tutors. You pay for tutors. Did the tutoring help students improve in that area? Pretty straightforward. But what about construction? Going from learning in a storage closet to a new classroom, how much does that help students improve academically? Williams says it's a little harder to measure, but they do try.
Looking at the social, emotional learning and development of students. We have surveys for employee engagement that allow us to evaluate.
Marguerite Rosa is the head of the research center Edgenomics, and she's worried that many students are not back on track academically.
Illinois broadly, compared to most other states, we saw pretty strong growth in reading, less so in math.
In her dissertation, a question Angie Smith set out to answer was, are these funds going to lead to systemic change in education, or is it just some extra money? She says because it's a one-time thing, it's just extra money. But some say this has made a lasting change. DiBernardi thinks about their new school addition and classroom renovations. Without ESSER, it may have taken another 20 years to build. Another whole generation of students come and gone without the adequate space they need to learn. In LaSalle, students are performing better on state tests than pre-pandemic in both reading and in math, but other districts are still playing catch-up. And now they're playing catch-up without this extra money, and if they didn't spend it wisely, with fewer resources to help their kids. I'm Peter Medlin.
And finally, in your forecast, meteorologist Andrew Pritchard says today will be partly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms and a high of 92 degrees. That's it for today. 2 and 7 Today is produced by Stephanie Mosqueda. Reporting today contributed by Reginald Hardwick, Kulsum Khan, Jim Meadows, and Peter Medlin. Music by the Kilbourne Alley Blues Band. Reginald Hardwick is our news director. I'm Kimberly Schofield. 2 and 7 Today is a production of Illinois Public Media. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and we'll talk to you again on Tuesday.